Hi, this is Kelly from Civil War, and you're listening to Via Nocturnal.
Hi, Kelly. How are you? Everything fine?
Doing good.
Invaders is your first album with Civil War. How have the reactions been until now?
It's been great. Yeah. Actually, I think it's been really accepted really well by the fans, and we're happy. Yeah, we're really happy with it.
And you should be. In my opinion, it's one of your best albums so far. It comes 6 years after your last album, Last Full Measure. Why did you take so long between these two releases?
Well, we had the pandemic, which kind of kept us from being able to get together in the real. I live in Belgium, and the other guys live in Sweden, so it was hard to get together. And we really actually wanted to take our time to do something really good and to be really, convicted, have a lot of conviction behind the album. So we took our time as well. Yeah.
Yeah, and it clearly paid off, I think. Now, there is one curious coincidence that led me to think that Civil War would only have 3 albums. You see, maybe you wouldn't know this stuff because this is your first album, but I'm going to ask you this anyway. Civil War's first 3 albums were The Killer Angels, Gods and Generals, and Last Full Measure. And this is also the name of the trilogy that Michael Cera wrote about the American Civil War. Is there a connection between the trilogy and the band?
I guess there is. For me, it's not part of my history with the band, so I'd imagine it is. It's probably some books, yeah, But yeah, as far as the album that we did, it doesn't really necessarily have a concept behind it.
Yeah, but Invaders looks like it has kind of a Indian concept, the history of the American Indians. Like, for example, you have about the battle of I can't remember the name right now. Invaders. I can't remember the name of the battle. Yes.
Battle of the Wabash. Yeah.
Yes, that's right. And Battle of Life almost seems like it's about some the mythical Indian knowledge. So there wasn't any planning about doing this Indian album.
Well, we do have a kind of a thread of Native American warrior. Soul is also about a Native American brave that fights for his family and his loved ones against the invading Americans. And we actually did a re-recording of Custer's Last Stand. So we have 3 Native American themed songs in there, and I wanted to do that because I'm a big fan of Native American culture, and I thought that'd be a nice thread through the album. But mainly the album is about oppression, greed, war, and the people who stood up against that kind of oppression and tried to protect their loved ones and their family and their way of life. It's the main kind of overall arching theme in the album.
And I think that this album is the first in Civil War that doesn't only talk about historical events, right? It talks about other things apart from that.
Yeah, I didn't really want to go in that route of only doing historical stuff. We did a couple of songs about some books, some stories from those books, but I wanted it to be kind of a new chapter and just hit on whatever we thought was interesting rather than being tied to only doing historical stuff.
Yeah, and you also have a song, Slaughterhouse 5. It's about the movie, right?
It's about the book by I try to remember his name. I always I forget names easily. But anyway, it's a book about, for the most part, it's about post-traumatic stress disorder, and it follows a British soldier who's captured and during the war, and and it's all kind of about how he dissociates things because he's so traumatized. And it's a really crazy story because there's aliens and all of this stuff in there. And the guy said, "Hey, let's do a song about Slaughterhouse 5." And we read the book and we watched the movie. And I just turned to the guys and was like, "How are we gonna, write this? How are we gonna make a song? How am I gonna write lyrics to this and make it make sense?" But I guess it turned out pretty good.
I think it did, and it's funny because I think the movie was originally released in 1972, right? I don't think any of the members in the band were born at that time. Only maybe you, I think.
Yeah, probably me. Yeah.
Yeah. It turned out an amazing song, and as I said, this is your first album with Civil War. Was it easy to replace or to fill Niels Patrick Johanssons Boots?
For me, I mean, I started off my career by replacing Jorn Land and Beyond Twilight. So it's not really I don't really think about replacing people in a way. I just step into that space and I do my own thing and just cross my fingers and hope people like it. I really, if you can't be anybody, if you can't be yourself, you can't be anybody else, is what I say. So yeah, I'm not really intimidated by that or worried or even really take that into account. I just try to be myself and do my thing, and hopefully the cards will fall in a good way.
Yeah, because it's also impossible to please everyone. So
yeah, you can. Yeah, you won't.
Yeah, but personally, I think you did a terrific job. Did you adopt any new technique to this album in your singing?
Not necessarily, no. I think that just when I'm in a band or I write a melody or a lyric or whatever I'm doing, I try to take that into the studio and then I try to act it out like an actor would act out a role. And I've always done the same thing. I've always approached it in that way. So it's just me with a different band.
And besides the lyrics, you also had the chance to participate in the composition process, right?
Yeah. I had a little musical ideas. Mostly Petrus comes up with a lot of musical ideas, and so does Daniel. And Petrus will come with maybe some melodies, or I'll come with melodies. But for the most part, I wrote all the lyrics for the album, and I tried to take those historical events and make them a little bit more personal, to put the listener into the story rather than just quote dates at them and information that you can get in books.
That was always the way that Civil War has done it throughout their career. And how do you think the composition process developed? Was it something that you were expecting to develop that way? Was it somehow unexpected?
No, but I was pleasantly surprised by by the openness of the guys in the band to having other ideas and working together to make the songs what they can be, and so that's exactly where I want to be in a band. That's exactly the kind of relationship that I was looking for, and yeah, it went great, very organic. Very much jamming out ideas, very much like you would do rather than sending files across the internet and all of that stuff that a lot of people do right now.
And I think that musically this album shows a clear evolution from your best albums. Can we say that somehow you and Toby, that are the new members, were responsible for that? Not responsible in a bad way, but...
As for Toby, he came in at the 11th hour and he did some solos, and he did the spoken word part on the song Invaders. So we might see some writing from him later, but when he came in, everything had already been written and pretty much recorded. But we look forward to bringing him more into the band. And the one thing I can say about him is he's a super old school guy. He loves old school metal, which I love too. And I like the flair that he brings. He's a nice guy to be around, and he's great on stage. So yeah, he's great. He's a definite plus for the band. Yeah.
Yeah, I think so. And you said it made the spoken word part in Invaders. How did you come with the idea to put that spoken word in that specific song?
I think that speech is speech is made by an Indian chief called Chief Joseph. It's a kind of a famous thing, and Petrus came up with the idea of having that spoken word part in the middle, where everything kind of calms down in the song. And so we said, "Oh, who has a cool voice? Who has a cool low voice to make this sound, awesome?" And so we thought Toby, and he did it.
And it turned out great. Now, moving to the artwork, it is yet another amazing job from Peter Samai. Which were the indications or the guidelines you gave him to create this masterpiece?
Well, I think we wanted we were going for this idea of this Native American watching people come into his peaceful land and seeing that that now he's going to have to fight to protect himself and his way of life, and that was kind of basically it. We threw back and forth a few images to get things rolling. He did a beautiful job of the album art, and inside the album as well. He made some art for each song, so he did a really nice job. So we kind of shot him some ideas on what we would like to see. And what I like about it is it looks like an oil painting, and that's very classic and very cool. I'm a big fan of oil painting, and so he did a great job. It really looks like a classic portrait, Yeah,
and I think that the cover, that Viking ship, is the only thing that connects you to Sweden, because there aren't any stories about some Swedish knights or something like that, are there?
I don't think so. I mean, we may be wrong. I mean, the Vikings got around pretty well, but I'm not sure. But I think that those are little nods, like when nods at the other guys and me. I kind of represent kind of the Indian guy in a way, and so and that like the song "Dead Man's Glory." I thought it would be great if Petrus came up with that kind of Celtic sounding riff, and I said, what if I looked up and I saw if the Vikings had invaded Ireland, and since I'm mostly Irish, I thought that would be really fun. It's kind of an Easter egg, kind of hidden kind of joke inside that song. Yeah.
And that was the very first single from Invaders. It was released in 2019, right?
Yeah.
And why did you choose that song from all the songs in the album? Why that one?
Well, that one we thought was just really powerful and represented a kind of a bit of a shift in the band sound, and we wanted to give the fans something to kind of tide them over because we were taking our time with the album. So we did that one, and then on the album that has just been released, we re-recorded that and did a new version of it on the album.
And it's not the first song on the album, but it's kind of like it's the first song on the album because Oblivion. I don't know how to say this. It's kind of sounds like an intro, a very long intro. I think. Don't you think this? Yeah. And
yeah, that's why we put it there. Yeah, that's why we put it at the top of the album, and also to get people ready for a little bit more of a surprise of what they're to expect on the album and everything. Yeah.
And again, you worked with Jonas Kjellgren in the studio. Is he still the right man for Civil War?
Yeah, I think he did a really cool job of it, and we were actually able to go and be part of the mixing process. I went down and to the studio with the guys, and we oversaw the kind of the whole mixing process to make sure that we got everything where it was supposed to be. And yeah, I think he did a good job.
He really put the pieces together. And what about touring? Which are your plans? Is Portugal included there?
Well, there's not plans like definite plans yet because of this pandemic. So many things have been canceled and you know, reset and rescheduled, and but we hope we'll probably get out sometime later in the year, out there on tour, probably yeah, later in the year, hopefully.
And I hope to see you in my little country this year or next year or maybe someday in the future. And now you also are in this moment. You also are on the two other bands, Adagio and Ziller. What can we expect from those two other bands in the near future? New album, maybe?
Sorry, those bands are not. They're not continuing. People may say that I'm still there, but I'm not really. I think Adagio stopped quite a while back, and after the last album, Life. And Ziller is more of a project band, which I hope to be doing more work with him in the future. But that's it's not necessarily a band per se.
So no more Adagio. It's like finished, or without you, they may continue.
Yeah, they may start up Adagio again later. You know, someday later, and with Ziller, maybe there might be an album again. I love working with him, and so fingers crossed on that. Adagio, I think has stopped though.
Okay, I think that's it. Thank you, Kelly. Would you like to send any message to your Portuguese fans?
Yeah, much love. Thanks for supporting our music, and we hope to see you out there when we get some tour dates and meet you guys personally. Maybe have a beer together and have a good time. So cheers.
All right, thank you.